Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenore, and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Scorpio. If Scorpio is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. All right, let's get started. So, Scorpio, tonight we have the Magician card. Okay, so let's see. What kind of world are you creating? All right, let's go ahead and take a look and see what these tea leaves have to say. And so if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit that little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. It is free to subscribe. All right. So it looks like I'm gonna pour that out there. Oh, come on now. Ooh. It's hard to read when there's still significant little puddles of tea in there because it will shift things around. Okay, so I want to start right here because right at the center of everything we have the home. Okay, right here. So this indicates to me that, yeah, you really are, as I said, I said, what kind of world are you creating? Yeah, you actually really are focused on creating your reality, okay? Setting things up from the bottom to the top. And what does that mean, right? I think that you are definitely a person who is really focused on atmosphere. You're really, how things feel, like when you walk into a room, matters so much to you, okay? The color of the walls, the furniture, the smell, how, is it really warm in there? Is it really cold? You know, these kinds of things, how things are arranged. It affects you deeply. So if like you work in a building, right? And you're underneath like fluorescent lights all day long, and it's kind of like that yellowy or bluey kind of color. I'm thinking of like old school hospital corridors where it's like all sterile, but it's kind of a little older and the floor is a little worn, and it feels like a kind of liminal space. But you're working there, right? You're there for, you know, at least 5, 8, 10 hours a day, right? It really does. It affects your psyche. Absolutely. All of us. But there are some signs that are even more impacted by where they're at, where they spend their time. And Scorpio, you absolutely are. I mean, there's no doubt about it. So I feel like this is a place where you're really focused on rearranging how you feel within your life. Literally, you know, maybe doing some renovation, maybe moving, like just fully going and moving to a new apartment, a new house, a new, you know, houseboat. I don't know. I was trying to think, what else do people live in? You know, whatever it is, moving possibly, redecorating, rearranging the furniture. I think it's so important that we rearrange things, especially when we get into these places where our energies are feeling kind of stagnant, okay? Maybe you've been in a funk. Maybe there's been a little bit of, you know, the blues, feeling kind of melancholy. Maybe it's that you've been pretty angry right? There's been a lot of maybe jealousy or paranoia or, you know, bickering or, you know, whatever it is. But these are like feelings that are so, they get so thick and potent that they kind of exist in the rooms that we hang out in. Have you ever like walked into your bedroom and you're like, oh my goodness, like, you know, there's like water bottles and things stacked in places, and your clothes are on the floor, and your bed hasn't been made in a week, you know, and it's like, you start to see like this has a real vibe to it. I'm walking in here and it has a complete vibe, and I'm not really with it. And I think that you're noticing that whatever these emotions have been, they've manifested in your environment. Okay. You know, we've all heard this idea that our environment reflects our emotional state, our psychic state. And, you know, I think that there's truth to that. Definitely. It seems, in my own anecdotal experience, that might be true. So, I feel like you are in this really kind of proactive mode of, yeah, choosing some different energies. Maybe bringing in a sacred piece. You know, it could be like a beautiful statue. Maybe you have created something from natural components. Maybe some kind of artwork or new plants. You got some new house plants, or, you know, whatever it is. Something that brings a little bit of love and joy and fondness into the home. Something that you can look at and think, yeah, this is beautiful. This is transcendent. This is something that it makes me feel different, right? And I think it's kind of like this, you're jump starting this new chapter that you are going into. And, you know, you have to kind of have, if you could think of life as a theater, you have to have the scene decorated, right? It has to be set up so that you can get out there and start doing the thing. And yeah, I think that's where we're at. Now, let's continue to take a look here. We also have, right here, we have a person standing. We also have a snake. And it looks to me like we have the sun, which this is the solar symbol, which is the circle with the dot in the middle there. Now we also have a lunar crescent. So we do have the sun and the moon. This is a beautiful symbol of duality, a beautiful symbol of the union of opposites, the chemical wedding. And when these two things come together, the star is born. Okay, and so what does that mean? Now the star, to me, anyways, in my readings, I like to use it as a symbol of goals, dreams, things that you are striving for. So I do feel like as you get further into this place of feeling activated and yet at ease, right? Being able to clearly think through things, to be present in the moment, it all becomes so clear to you. I think that you start to see the path that you want to take forward. And yeah, the sun is aligning for you. The moon is aligning for you. They're working in your favor. And you will not squander this energy. I think that you will make the most of it. And I think that there comes this, with all of this work, right? With all of this kind of intentionality, I do feel like you are gaining deeper knowledges, okay? I think that as you apply yourself, you engage with the divine, and this is, it is exemplified through your living. It is exemplified through you honoring not only the universe, right? Spirit, the divine, but yourself, because you are all of these things. You are of the universe. You are the universe. The universe is of you. Okay, there's no separation. And so I think it becomes very clear for you how to move, how to be more successful in the things that you want to achieve. And it feels like, yeah, you're receiving these great blessings. Now, the blessings are always there. It's just really, I think, comes down to we often don't have eyes to see, right? Our life is littered with opportunities. We are often making choice after choice after choice. And so when things feel like they're always going wrong, nothing ever happens for me, nothing ever, goes my way. Now, I'm not saying it's your fault. We all go through these difficult times, but there are opportunities to change things. And sometimes we have to kind of stand up in our own life and say, okay, now I'm going the other direction. Now, everything here that I chose to do, it doesn't make sense anymore. It does not serve me well. And so I'm going to change course. Right? Sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes it is like changing horses in midstream. Treacherous, right? But worth it. And I see you really gaining a deeper understanding of self. And that's really what the serpent is. It is the knowledge, the bearer of knowledge. Now, is the knowledge always easy to take in? No, it's not. Oftentimes we are confronted with reality, or a version of reality that we don't want, that is hard. It's a hard truth. It is something that is outside of, what we considered. It is outside of maybe what we wanted for, what we hoped for. But as the magician, right, we take these difficult understandings that we come to, and we reshape them. We can also discard them, right? But we can reshape these things, whatever it is. I think this is a beautiful time in human history because we are so interconnected, and there's no shortage of information. There's so much information, right? There's so many things to learn and come in contact with and whatever, that I feel like there is really this kind of, to some degree anyways, collective kind of movement towards having less rigid ideas about reality and what is real, and this idea that there's some kind of empirical, immovable truth to so many things in our life. Everything is becoming so much more surreal, fluid, changing. I always think of what was the movie? Scanner Darkly, right? With Robert Downey Jr. That's who, was he in that? Yes. And what was the guy from The Matrix? The one everybody loves. Oh my gosh, I can't think of his name. He's from The Matrix and whatever. You know the guy. The main guy on the Neo, is that his name? I don't know. I love The Matrix. I don't really remember it. I've only seen it a couple times. But yeah, that guy. And Scanner Darkly. A Scanner Darkly, I think. And anyways, there's a scene where there's a person, they're being questioned or whatever. I can't even really remember. But there's this mask that they wear. And the faces are changing constantly. It's, you know, shifting and kind of recalibrating itself, and they're one person for a second and they're another person. Yes, and I feel like, and I don't know why that's the visual I think of. I know, it's kind of odd. But I feel like it's such a perfect, astute kind of imagery of how the world is, right? How people are. And it is so much more extreme, I think, and prevalent because we know about so many different things now. We're exposed to so many different things. We have the opportunity to try so many different things. There are so many options for us, each of us, right? And so the world feels so much more shifting. There are so many less, like, there's almost nothing in my life that I trust as a solid truth. I can't even think of one, really. I think the only thing is that I love my daughter, you know, and of course I love my husband, but my daughter, immovable. There's nothing that could happen that I wouldn't love her, right? And so I know that maybe is the only thing in my life that I could say is absolutely truth. And I think I think this is hard. It's a hard world for a lot of us to live in, especially if, you know, we're a little bit older, right? It feels like the world is unhinged. And I think that's hard for most people because we like this idea of feeling safe. But this is the thing, is that when you're on a spiritual journey, and I know anybody who is kind of like an initiate or like into the occult or into their religion deeply, I mean, they're really in there, right? Very in tune with the divine. You might laugh and think, yeah, the world's always been like this. Well, now all of the normies kind of know too, right? And the deeper we get into our spiritual journey, the more we kind of eat of the apple, right? Things become much more, yeah, it can be frightening, disturbing. When you start to really see what are the drivers of this existence. Now, we can succumb to this fear, and a lot of people do. Or you can make it work for you, right? You become the magician. You see, nothing is one way. Everything has many sides. Everything can be molded and changed and you know, applied in so many different ways. It's like being a child walking into a room full of, you know, crafting things. There are no rules. There's no wrong way to do this. And I feel like you are coming to this understanding about your own life. That you get to decide. And that can be really scary. Because then we have to take full responsibility, don't we? I don't know about you, but when everything is going wrong, when there's all kinds of snafus happening, I want to blame somebody. I don't want to be the one that's in, you know, I did all this. Come on. Well, yeah. Yeah. Sometimes we have to realize, yes, we are the architects of our own existence. Now, we also have a sense of courtship. I know. I can't ignore the huge heart at the bottom here. And we have two people. It looks like they are conversing. Okay. Now we also have the number 1 up here. And we have a bird behind. We have a mushroom in the middle. We have the number 3. So I wonder if this is like the 3rd grade. You know that saying, like we all have 3 great loves. I think here's another movie that I think of a lot. Is A Bronx Tale, I think, or is it Once Upon a Time in America? I don't know. One of those old movies. But yes, 3 greats. Okay, we have 3 great loves. Now, of course, this is not true of everybody. You might have more, you might have less. But I wonder if this is kind of that 3rd and final, that great love, the greatest great love. And we have that mushroom, and I feel like this is, it really is kind of a going so deep with this person. I feel like where, yeah, maybe you've loved others, you've maybe been married before, maybe you are somebody who is widowed and you never thought you'd meet somebody, and you end up meeting somebody, and it's kind of like, yeah, I'm not super sure about this, but then, yeah, you start to get to know them and, whatever. And it ends up being, right, your person. And so I feel like this is somebody that you can get beyond those exterior rooms, right? If you think of, your life together, anyways, is kind of a building. Most of us, even when we are in love and we are even with somebody, we're hanging out in the porch or the foyer, right? That entrance area in the front of the house. We never get into those deeper places. We never figure out how to connect soul to soul, right? The communication maybe is off. Maybe the person is, not into the same things as you. You just can't figure out how to get into that place together. Or maybe there's really never even a thought of it. It's just good enough. We're good domestically, we get along and, well enough, which, yeah, that's valid, definitely. But I feel like this is beyond all that. This is somebody who you go deep with. This is somebody who speaks in a language that only the two of you know. This is a belovedness that, it doesn't even have to be amorous, right? This could be a bond, a friendship, a sisterhood, a brotherhood, kind of cosmic siblings, kinship. But there is really a sense of being heard, listened to, cared for. And I think that this is something that, I think that you've needed, that you've wanted, that you've hoped for. And here it is. And here it is. And we have that bird coming in too. So I think that it does indicate to me that there are sometimes failures in the communication. Now we can also see over here, it looks like two people may be arguing. And my hand is going to sleep holding it like that. Two people over here, it looks like they maybe are arguing. Okay, but there's still the love, right? And so I feel like this is where, yeah, at times you have to kind of maybe step back a little bit and figure out, are we, you know, we do in our finest moments, we absolutely are just, you know, in our own little reality. But when things get a little skewed, or, you know, and I think this all comes down to, you're saying the same thing to each other, but there is a sense of kind of pride getting in the way. Maybe this is also a fire sign person, right? I get that energy that maybe this is like, you just can't come to an understanding that, listen, you're saying the same thing to each other. You want the same thing. You're striving for the same thing, but you're just not able to express it to one another because you keep getting in the way of. It's a personality thing. It's a pridefulness thing. It is maybe a, I want to be right, you know? And I don't know if that's conscious or intentional. But, you know, as I said on my Scorpio readings, you know, I'm a Virgo. I'm kind of the boring sibling of a Scorpio. I feel like we're very similar, Virgos and Scorpios. And there have been times, not too long ago even, I swear I will die on my hill. I could be wrong. And I'm not going to let go of, you know, this argument, this discussion, this thing that I want to do, or I want it done this way. And I'm just going to stay here and I'm going to see it through, even if I'm fully, you know, sabotaging myself. But it's like a dog that is, you know, grabbed onto something. It's just tearing away at it, you know? And I think, Scorpio, you have the same tendencies at times, right? And so, you know, it sometimes is that we have to kind of just temper ourselves. Sometimes we have to, you know, we have to be that parent to ourselves, to our inner child, and say, listen, it's not all about you. Sometimes it's about other people as well. And we have to be willing to hear each other, you know, and that's not easy, but listen, that's life, I guess. And so let's take a look at this plate and let's see what's going on over here too. All right, so we have a butterfly. We have a little turtle. We have a baby crawling up here. This looks like a little fairy. So I am imagining kind of a really beautiful, idyllic scenery. Feeling like maybe you will be traveling. Maybe it's a little vacation, or you're going like across town. You're going to like a, you know, some kind of gardens or outdoor area that is like, you know, a beautiful scenery, a hike. Maybe you're going to somebody's house. It's very beautiful. Maybe it's a family member. They're really into like flowers, or I don't know what, you know, something. It feels gorgeous. Okay. And I feel like this maybe is even somebody who in the past you had it, maybe sometimes you had difficulty being around them. Maybe this is somebody like you grew up with, a sibling, or, you know, a cousin, or I don't know, somebody. But, you know, you would come into conflict with them. But as you've gotten older, I think that there's really a sense of appreciating one another, okay? And being quite close. And I just imagine them kind of living in this beautiful place, or, you know, you go somewhere together that's very beautiful. maybe like a day trip. I immediately was thinking about the tea gardens in San Francisco, in Oakland, and yeah, like going for a day and, you know, having a nice lunch and like walking around the gardens and, you know, just having a nice time talking and laughing and, you know, taking it slow with one another. And the butterfly is that growth, right? Growing as a person, being able to kind of heal some of the old conflicts and, you know, maybe some shared traumas and, you know, the things that we go through with our siblings. You know, these are the only other people that understand our experiences. And for better or worse, right? And sometimes that really solidifies the bond and sometimes it drives people apart. But I feel like you are in a place where, yeah, you both have such a bond. Now, I also feel there's baby energy. So there is maybe a baby in the family. It could be your baby, grandchild, great-grandchild, you know, maybe your siblings having a baby. I don't know, but there's a baby around, and I feel like this is one of the great joys. And I think that this has actually helped lighten your mood in general. Okay, Scorpio, we're gonna do our self-care affirmation cards, and I'm gonna flip through, stop where it feels right. It says, the tranquil oasis. I design my tranquil space. Just as meditation quiets the mind, a tranquil space brings peace to my environment. I simplify and organize my surroundings to cultivate an environment of peace. I am relaxed and at ease in my body, and my home is a tranquil oasis. Absolutely. Now, I always love to go on and on about this in my readings, about having at least your room as sparse as you can, keeping it clean, organized, nothing on the floors, nothing on the bed with you. Now, I know that it can be difficult, right? When I lived alone for years, I slept with books on my bed, books on my bed and everything. And, you know, so it really depends on, you know, how you're living or whatever. But generally, I would say one of the most important places to keep, yes, tranquil, as little stimuli as possible. Colors that bring you ease, you know, really, I like a dark room. I like a dark house in general. I don't like a lot of lights, which is a constant argument in our home because I will do everything in the dark, and then when all the lights are turned on and stuff, I'm like, it's a sensory overload. But yeah, maybe that's where you begin. Go into your room, work on that. Get it in the shape that is most conducive with limiting your anxiety and promoting not just sleep and passing out, healthy, regenerative, recovery sleep, right? You're getting through all the cycles. You're waking up feeling somewhat recharged, okay? All right, Scorpio, I love you. And I thank you for spending this time with me. It is always such an honor to be able to bring these messages to you. And if you would be so kind as to like the video, it really does help the channel. And if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit that little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. It is free to subscribe. And What else? If you want to leave a comment, please do. I would love to hear from you, especially if you are new to the channel. Definitely shout it out in the comments. Other than that, yeah, I think that's it. All right. I love you. Take care of yourself. We'll talk in a few days. Good night.